we're now going to concentrate on marking sets. Every time I click here or press K, I'm keying the mark parameters. If I now want to go back and for those exact same frames want to key the rotations as well, I have to click on rotation, find the keys where I was. Oh, I don't know what my next key was. I can either open up the dope sheet or the function curve editor, or I can switch back to translate. Oh, it's frame 11, click on rotate, and then click here. Often you'll want to be able to key the properties of an object. Those properties can be created into what's called a marking set. A marking set is simply a set of marked parameters. In this case, maybe I want to have all of these parameters of my object to be keyed whenever I hit the marking set button. I can do that by saying parameter create a marking set, just to show you underneath the object. When I create the parameter marking set, there we go, a proxy parameter has been set up for those parameters I had marked, in this case the position and the rotation. There we go, position and rotation. I can now use set key using marking set. If I go to another frame, make some changes, and middle click, set key using marking set. So now I'm keyframing multiple parameters at once. Anything can go into the marking set. It's just a proxy parameter. But what is a proxy parameter if you're not sure? If I select my object here now, open up my kinematics, you see I'm keyframing the position and the rotations here. I'm going to create, with my object selected, a proxy parameter. New proxy param. I'm just going to click on pos and right click. And now here we have a custom property set, exactly the same looking as a marking set. The only difference is a marking set is called marking set. So let's do that. I'm simply going to change this to marking set. So now with my object selected, I can set key using the marking set, make some changes, middle click, and there we go. I'm now keyframing that. So a marking set is a proxy parameter relating to any markable parameter, and in this case the marked parameters of the cube are considerable. If I have more than one object, I'm going to duplicate this one. You see we now have animations for it. I'm just going to offset the one here and set key using marking set. So now I've got two different animations here. I'm also going to parent one to the other like that. So one now inherits the original settings. The reason that set key using marking set doesn't have an automatic keyboard binding is that more often than not you want to set branch key using the marking set. So if I want to start making some changes, I can select this, move it around, select this guy, move that over there, branch key this one, and I can do Alt K, and that's keyframed both objects. If I have a single object and I do branch key, it will set it just on that object. You can always rename your marking set, the properties here. So if I don't like cube position X, I can just edit the parameter definition and I can just call it something like, well, X. There we go. And it's still going to keyframe whatever's inside there. That's because it's looking for this custom property called marking set. Let's have a look at marking sets in action. If I start to pose my character here, I can start to move him around. Put something like this. Actually, I'm going to go to another frame here and move them around. So, using each of these characters has a marking set on it. There are objects down the hierarchy. If I just see my objects only and press F, you can see that there's quite a number of objects which I never want to keyframe. The fact that I can do Alt K, set key using set the branch key using the marking set, means I don't have to worry about any object which doesn't have the marking set on it. So with this I can just middle click, I can go to another frame, just maybe put this back, maybe move it over here, move it out, and then with them both selected I can set key using marking set. So now you can see that method there. If I want to do my entire character, I can always go to the top null and do exactly that, and there we go, it's set the key on the entire character just using any marking sets. So I'll go to another one here, move him up, move him down, maybe he's falling over, drop his arms, and now I can select my character again, and I'm just going to middle click, or I can do Alt K. So now, there we go, being able to do very quick poster pose. So once you've set up the marking set on each of the objects, much quicker way of doing keyframing. You can also set all of this up through scripting, because things like selecting the model here is all scriptable, as well as in the keyboard mapping if you want to rebind it. Here I'm just going to make a new keyboard map, just call it animation, just go down to XSI and what's it called, set, click S, SE, and look for the set branch keys instead, or you can just do your normal key marking set. So all of these commands are mappable to the hotkey, so you can bind anything to make it a very quick way of keyframing. You can always add to any of the marking sets very simply. If I were to just have a look at the selection here, as the marking set is both the position and rotation. If I wanted, say, the scaling or radius, anything like that, anything which is markable, maybe if I were to go inside my scaling, I can simply animation, parameters, add to marking set, and there we go, simple as that. If you want now to strip the animation of the character, because the marking set can be mark parameters themselves, what I can do is for the entire character I can branch select and then select all of the child nodes so they become individuals. And I can then create a mark parameter list down here by going to activate the marking set. And all that's going to do is for each of the objects which have a marking set, it's selected them and activated them. So this means that I can, with this selected, I can either hit keyframe, and therefore it's doing just as I would with the set branch key, but also if I were to do things like plot the mark parameters, I can plot my character here. If I were to store it into a mixer, I can store the mark parameter function curves, because all it's going to do is look down here, because the marking set can be mark parameters. With that done, I can just take this and call it draft. For draft animation, pop it onto the mixer, open up the mixer, go to the last right, there we go, and now there I have my animation. Got loads of other animation here inside the mixer, so I'm now very easily offsetting it in time and that sort of thing. So creating the marking set, activating the marking set, and when you come to plot or store or even keyframe, activating the marking set is king.